film that's available in a few places online, and as well as Blu-ray internationally, I believe. From 1968, a giallo film entitled Death Laid an Egg with Gina Lollobrigida, Iwa Aulin, and Jean-Louis Trintignant. And this is, if you don't know what a giallo film is, if you've watched me yammer enough, you've probably heard me say it. But if this is your first time, howdy folks. This is a genre of film that was popular in Italy mostly in the 70s, but it started in the early 60s. And it was just a style of thriller. They were very visually stylish, very interesting music. They had usually a killer wearing black leather gloves who would stalk people who, usually somebody in the film has witnessed a murder or suspects foul play in some way, and they're stalked by this black glove killer. Examples include The Girl Who Knew Too Much. Mario Bava's film is considered to be the first giallo, though some say these giallo building blocks went farther back into German krimi films from the previous decade or early in the decade. Blood and Black Lace, Mario Bava, that's also known as giallo. Then Dario Argento's Bird with a Crystal Plumage, and his early films were giallos. And there's many of them. So Death Laid an Egg is sort of one of those. It's from 1968, so it predates the real explosion of giallo films. There have been a couple at that point, but it wasn't like the flood that would come soon after that. And it's very stylish. It's visually very stylish, and it's very chicken based. It is a very poultry focused. I wouldn't even call it a horror movie necessarily. I would call this more of a psychological thriller drama. So you have Trintignant and Lollobrigida as this married couple. They are not really that excited about each other anymore. She is the matriarch or head of this giant chicken farm that has recently switched over to automation. So at one point you see all the former workers just standing zombie-like behind a fence, mad at them for replacing them with machines. And the gigantic chicken feeding, raising, processing, whatever you want to call it, plant is like something out of Barbarella. It's very bizarre and weird to see just all this, a lot of white and a lot of shiny metal and a weird laboratory where chicken experiments are being conducted and chicken breeding and chicken mutations are studied, and it's very strange. And so this couple exists. They're not really happy with each other. They're socialites. They're doing what they're doing. They're running this egg empire, and they have taken under their wing Iwa Aulin, who people might know from the film Candy on the late 60s, sort of a notorious cult movie. She is this young blonde, maybe 20-something, who has witnessed the death of her parents. She's an orphan, and she's taken in by this couple as like a young ward, but the male and the female, Lollobrigida and Trintignant, each sort of desire her in some way and use her for their own purposes. And as time goes on, I'm not going to tell you too much about this plot because it is fun to watch it unfold. Everybody is sort of conspiring against each other to get what they want. Let's leave it at that. And by the end of the film, it doesn't work out great for everybody. Let's just put it that way. So Death Laid an Egg, weird title, weird movie. It's a very strange movie. It's cool, but as you're watching it, you're saying, wow, this is not really a horror movie as it might be sold. It's a drama, certainly. It's a psychological, sexual relationship issue drama. It is a thriller. People do get killed in this, and there are black gloves at some point, but it's not pervasive throughout the movie like you might expect if you're looking to watch a giallo film. Now, as I said, I saw this on Alamo On Demand, which was a $2.99 rental, and the money goes to the Alamo Drafthouse Theater. The same print of this exists on Amazon Prime for free if you are a subscriber to Amazon Prime. But when we tried to watch it, it had no subtitles. It was just in Italian. So I don't know what the deal is with that. Maybe they're there and I just couldn't make them work. But usually if you put on a film on Prime, if it's got subs, it's just there. There are two versions of this film I found. The version we watched was about 80-something minutes. There's a version that's about a half hour or more longer, the original version of the film. When it was sent internationally, it was cut down to a much more lean version, the giallo cut as it's referred to. And there's a character that's totally missing from the version of the film that I saw. I went and I watched the trailer on YouTube later, which had a much better video transfer, probably similar to what the Blu-ray looks like. And you see somebody listed in the cast who's just flat out not in the movie that we watched. So if you are a fan of Death Laid an Egg, and for some reason you're listening to me talking about it, there's a longer version than what we've seen. It's a German or British, I believe, Blu-ray release that's full length as opposed to what we had here. I think Cult Epics put it out here in the US, and that's just the 80-something minute version, which still plays fine. I just think I'm very curious to see what is in the longer version. From what I was reading, it's just more talk about chicken breeding and chicken problems, which some of that is sort of a spoof of corporations and industry and all of that. There's a sequence in the film where they're in the office of this poultry company, and there are chickens' heads poking out, live chickens' heads poking out of these little boxes where you would normally be filing documents and things like that. It's like the chicken files or something. There is very chicken and egg-based decor in some of the houses. It's a very mod pop art kind of movie that's interesting. It's a little slow here and there, and it doesn't go quite where you think it's going to go, but it does give me what I love, in which it goes in areas that you never expected. There is alluded to animal violence in the film. You never really see it explicitly, but if you know how chicken farms work, it's not too great for the chicken. And there's the loss of another animal in the film. But I don't want to surprise you, because when it happens, I want it to be a surprise. When we watched it and saw it, we were like, oh my, they didn't show it, but I know what just happened, and oh my. So Death Laid an Egg, it looks great. Looks even better, I think, if you get the Blu-ray than if you watch it, but it is available on on demand. If you like Italian films, if you like 60s movies, if you're okay with subtitles, if you like giallo films and that odd kind of Euro trashy cinema of the 60s and 70s, I would say it's definitely worth a try, and it is available now on Alamo on demand.